Hey guys, what's going on? It is May 17th, 2026. It is time for the weekly recap. Let's jump right into it, you guys. Okay, so got some big news here. I'm sure everyone has probably heard by this point, but THORChain unfortunately did have an exploit, pretty significant one, where one of our Asgard vaults did get drained. This is why there is no economic activity happening on THORChain. Everything is paused while we dissect the problem and figure out precisely what happened. Lot to talk about on that, but let's not get too distracted. I want to move ahead. This is the most recent thing. And guys, in this video, I'm going to do my best to be as accurate as possible, but do understand this is a fluid situation and things may change by the time you see the recording of this video. So keep that in mind. There is a call for Bifrost logs. I know a lot of devs have already submitted them. They're on this list, but this is just, again, posted on there. Please just reach out if you are on this list. If you've already submitted your logs, just make sure that, you know, if they want clarification on anything. This is just the most recent information we have. We really want to figure out precisely what happened. More on that later. I want to move on to something very important here. So this is the initial announcement of the Asgard exploit, which happened basically, as far as we know, one node was able to have a very sophisticated attack where they drained an Asgard vault. Quick correction on here, a link in description down below. It was one of 5 Asgard vaults, not one of 6. A minor typo. If you have more than 100 nodes, you're going to have 6 Asgard vaults. If you have less than 100, you're going to have 5. So this is just a small typo that the person did. So don't crucify him for that. That's an easy mistake to make because we've been oscillating between above 100 and below 100 for a little bit. Additionally, guys, we had a exploit podcast we did on the same day where we went through the most latest information that we had. A link in description down below. So if you want to get caught up on the speed, you can watch that podcast. As of the recording of this video, it is still topical and relevant, and I haven't really seen anything that significantly changes our understanding of the situation. Again, that may change in the future, but definitely check out that podcast if you want to hear the latest. Real quick, you guys, there is a lot of scam opportunities going on right now, right? Whenever there's an exploit, there's going to be scammers that try to take advantage of it. There is no airdrop. There is no portal. There is nothing like that. The funds on THORChain that were taken from the Asgard vault, it's kind of a complex question, but there technically could be no user funds lost because there's something called POL, which means protocol owned liquidity. And we have more than enough to cover the insolvency of losing those exogenous assets on the Asgard vault. It's just an accounting discussion that the community is going to have. So, you know, if there's any claims out there that user funds are going to be that's all nonsense. Okay. And I just want to shout out some good people here. Sam Yap's been on top of this, pointing out the scam attempts, and there's some very convincing ones. Like we had the Coin Bureau got tricked, right? They posted this. Thank God they deleted it real quickly, but this was 100% a scam link that they were sharing, but they did delete it. But there's currently scam links that exist right now, and Kenton does know this, you guys. On CoinGecko right now, see this right here? THORChain launches recovery portal after 10 minutes. No, nonsense. This is a scam link on an official site right now. Again, Kenton and the marketing team are on this. We're doing our best to knock these things out, but just don't click anything like that. Okay, guys? Go to the THORChain main account on X or Dev Discord on the alert channel. That's where the information is going to be posted, okay? If you're unsure, do not click it. All right, moving on, you guys. Alix, a really good friend of our ecosystem, my protocol. He's also part of, like, you know, the designers on the treasury. They're currently writing up a proposal. On this specific exploit, there are many ways we could address the situation. Like I said, we have plenty of POL to cover this insolvency. It's just specifically doing what is optimal in this scenario and not rushing, right? What has happened. We don't want to do anything, you know, hasty, make the situation worse. Let's just take a breath. Let's figure out exactly what happened and then have a good resolution from there. Okay, so they are going to probably be releasing this soon, maybe today, maybe tomorrow or the next day. They're just being very meticulous and going through it piece by piece. Now, let's talk about this exploit here because there's a lot of misinformation online. You know, whenever you have an exploit, people love to just, you know, jump on it and try to have the most hot take available. I really want to throw flowers at this guy, this Banteg individual. This is a very expert when it comes to cryptography, genius individual. And thank you so much. You've been very helpful in helping our devs break down the situation, what's exactly happened. But I want to just show an important post here. So again, Banteg, this is an expert, you guys. He knows exactly what he's talking about. You can read this if you want, but the most important thing here is the practical extraction step is still unsolved. Okay, so for people out there claiming they know exactly what happened, they are just not telling you the truth. Okay, we still have to figure out precisely the attack avenue that happened on THORChain. We still don't have that information. And I found this interesting as well from Cyber Satoshi. Again, shout out to this individual. They've been very supportive of our ecosystem recently. They said, you know, this makes it infinitely more terrifying. Poison the well at Keygen, vanish from the network, and just watch it bleed. This guy should be very senior or maybe well known. And I think what I mean by this is whoever did this attack, this was a very specific, complex, nuanced attack vector against THORChain. They knew what they were doing. This was not little league stuff, okay? And so if it's not little league stuff, we shouldn't have a little league response. We need to take our time, go through again, I'm going to share this again, the Bifrost logs. We're going to really make sure we understand what precisely happened here. I'm going to share this link again of the podcast. So the possible ways forward here. We have a cryptography called GG20. And we have been wanting to, for a while, go to cryptography of DKLS, which is, I think, by most accounts, just a superior form of cryptography. Now, we've been wanting to do this, but we haven't. And there are many reasons for this. But the best one that I will give for the sake of brevity here is that up until very recently, and if you listen to this podcast, you'll get a full breakdown. DKLS did not have something called identifiable aborts. And long story short, that's important because without identifiable aborts, we do not have the ability to stop one node from basically stopping all economic activity on THORChain. We'd essentially be done with churning. So DKLS is just not a fit for THORChain. And THORChain is such a complex system, so many moving parts. We started with something called GG18, if I remember correctly. We upgraded to GG20. And we've been wanting to go DKLS, but again, you can't just take a system, we have all this tech debt and just slap on a new cryptography and expect everything to function the same way. So what could have happened here, and this may be likely, is that we were using an outdated library of GG20. I don't know 100% if that is the response. Again, to be clear, this may not be the exact attack vector, but I think it is safe to say that we were not fully updated, and this may well be our mistake. I mean, we have to own it. This is an exploit that happened on THORChain. We don't shy from it. This is a mess up on our part. We want THORChain to be reliable, safe, and trustworthy, and we got punched in the face. And that's just the way it is. But again, there's a lot of moving parts. If you hear information out there of people saying it was this or that, do not trust that yet. We are still we have the smartest people looking at this, trying to figure out exactly what happened. So guys, please just help fight against misinformation. But we want to just be forward with you guys. This sucks. We hate it. It messed up, but it's well within our ability to address and fix. And we will. We're going to figure it out. So again, stay tuned for information. We may have a podcast early next week again if we have more information. Just monitor the sites I gave you before early in this update about what we will be doing. Okay, guys, let's move on from there. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments down below. We'll try and add them there. There's a lot of ground to cover. I'm probably going to miss some things. We did have a podcast shortly before the exploit. This feels like a million years ago, honestly. But this was a fantastic process. We had Thursday. We had a lot of cool people attend. We had Oleg here, Swap Kit, PM, Hans from Rujira, myself, Chad, and Kenton. This was a fun conversation. We had an update on THORChain, the latest information, Monero, Zcash, Tau update. A really fun conversation we had. An interesting debate in the beginning was the app layer. The app layer wants to arbitrage the base layer. And this has the ability to really make THORChain's price execution even better than already is. And Oleg was a contrarian opinion on this. I'm very appreciative that Oleg came and spoke out because we're not interested in censorship. We want raw meritocracy, the best and brightest minds to discuss. And there is some concern that if we use the app layer to arbitrage the base layer, because we have already these arbitrageurs that are largely anonymous with their sophisticated model, this may cause some chaos, or it may lead to actually improper price execution. It's all speculative. There's a lot of pushback on that. I think based on what I remember, the general consensus is let's give it a shot. Let's try and see how it works. And if it's a problem, we could always just pause it, readjust, do it again. And if it's just such a headache where it doesn't work, we'll just turn the feature off, right? Like, but the important thing is we don't know until we try. There's just too many variables to account for when it comes to arbitrage and the app layer and base layer relationship. And the market is a dynamic, environment. It's just, you can't model it. You just got to give it a shot and see what happens. And I think that was basically the consensus. But again, shout out to everyone here who took the time to have this conversation with us. It was a really fun one. And if you guys want to hear the latest on THORChain, definitely check out Thor's Day. This was a great podcast. On Saturday, Kenton talked with co-founder of Firo, Ruben. This was a great conversation. At the very beginning of the conversation, Kenton said I had the day off. I don't have days off, Kenton. I was off doing my civic duty. I work 24/7, you old man. I'm a young whippersnapper, okay? So I couldn't make this podcast, but it wasn't a day off, sir. So you watch your tongue there, mister. But jokes aside, guys, this was an awesome conversation. Really fun. This is basically, Firo is a privacy coin. And Ruben gave the history of Firo. Firo, being a privacy coin, was delisted from Binance. That was a really interesting conversation there, talking about the nuances and the politics behind that. If you want to hear the deep dive, definitely check that out. Ruben also shared a personal story of his, talking about how he was debanked for a year because somehow he interacted with a $500 funds that, may or may not have been illicit, but he was impacted by that significantly. Right? Like, he was really harmed by that, and he was debanked for a year. And then he had to go to the bank and then describe every single transaction he made. And one interesting story, I thought it was humorous, but kind of sad at the same time, is, he happens to like Magic the Gathering cards, right? As like investment, right? Some cards are very valuable. And he had to go to his bank and they were asking like, what are Magic the Gathering cards? And why is this one worth 1,000? And why is this one worth only this amount? And blah, blah, blah. And it's like, he's a Magic the Gathering card money launderer. It's a completely ridiculous and horrific story that he was telling. But this just goes to show why economics needs to be permissionless and neutral, because you can't just assume criminality based on this like really weak correlation between funds on blockchain. It just destroys lives. It wrecks people. And Kenton shared his own story that he was debanked well, and how it just feels like the whole world just like comes crashing in on you. You feel powerless to stop it. So it's safe to say that Ruben has the ethos of THORChain. And once we fix the predicament that we are in, I really look forward to getting Firo on THORChain, because the world needs privacy because of nonsense like this. They also talked about Samurai Wallet and all the various nuances there. This was a really cool conversation. And Firo has a very interesting technology. I highly recommend this podcast. And shout out to Kenton for taking this one on himself. I really appreciate it. I had big FOMO missing this one. So thank you, Ruben, again for your time. This was a great podcast. And that's going to wrap up this week's weekly recap. It's a lot, you guys. Again, I want to emphasize, information may change. What I have just said, if you're watching this recording, it may be completely different if you go to Dev Discord or a recent update. There's still some ambiguity. Again, I recommend that special podcast we did on Friday. I shared twice. The link will be in the description down below. If you want to hear the latest based on what we have now, just follow the resource we gave you. Stay up to date on the information. We're doing the best we can with the information we have right now. But rest assured, we are going to take our time and figure out the situation and address it appropriately. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, guys. We're going to have a lot more comments here. Expect more updates again early next week. We shall see. And remember, nothing described here is investment advice whatsoever. It's for informational, educational purposes only, and we do not support or condone any illicit activity in the THORChain community whatsoever. Thanks for hanging out with us today, guys. Have enjoyed the rest of your week. Take care. Bye-bye.